Giri-vadari, Jaya Giri-vadari, Nandana Rajajana Ranjanya Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjanya Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balapa Jaya Giri-vadari Jaya Giri-vadari Nandana Rajajana Ranjanya Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjanya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Priya Jakacharya Asto Tartata Shri Śrīmad Nitya Leela Pravista His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charananda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj ISKCON's BBT Founder Acharya Jagadguru Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Priya Jakacharya Asto Tartata Shri Śrīmad Nitya Leela Pravista Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Guru Parampara Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Amala Purana Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Hare Krishna. So I think we're all feeling the great auspiciosity of this very momentous and noteworthy move, moving on up into this wonderful building and give it a very nice opportunity to so many things, focus our efforts. For one, we will make this what it already is. This is a brahmachari ashram where at least we have the functional arrangement that the basic principle of materialistic life, the attraction between man and woman, which binds together the hearts of the living entities under the false conception of thinking that they're such, at least externally, is not present. So we're giving this isn't a chance for those within the male body to get a few yards head start in the race, or to have the opportunity to combat the illusory energy, or to address one's own anarthas. Prabhupada says in the first canto, to be restless in the company of women and money is not at all an astonishment, because one has been associated with these things from a very remote time, since practically immemorial, and it takes time to recover from the foreign atmosphere. So at least here we want to make this more like home and not so much like a foreign atmosphere. We should know that identifying oneself as the eternal servant of one's spiritual master and Krishna and the eternal associates of the Lord is our real identity, and the perverted reflection to think that I'm a man or a woman or some type of whatever in this material world is really not us. So once we go outside the door, then everyone, one time one devotee was remarking, how difficult it is to overcome sex desire, and he said, everyone, for every living entity, the birds, the bees, the monkeys that swing from the trees, everyone is So to isolate our actual real self and to have the opportunity to regain one's awareness of the steady engagement of my real identity in the actual reality of life, which is transcendental, pure, loving, devotional service to Radha and Krishna. Therefore, the Varnashram Dharma has been created, one to put human society into order so that from any stage of life or any status of life, one can progress as smoothly and as rapidly and as peacefully as possible to the goal of completely being freed from material attachment based on the strength of one's Krishna Sambandha, which is solidified and proved to be real, true, and worthy by Krishna Abhideya, and always striving to achieve the ultimate goal of Krishna Prayojan. So this Harinam Sankirtan movement, which was started by their lordships, Shri Radha and Krishna, in their most beloved and confidential form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is Nija Sharva Shaktis, filled with all types of variegated, inconceivable, supremely powerful potencies, if that makes sense. So when we talk about the subject matter of devotion, devotees, there are always unlimited positive opportunities for advancement and unique and beautiful, never before experienced expressions in that love of Krishna in that relationship. So Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is written by the incarnation of Vyasadeva, Chaitanya Leela Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says very strongly and emphatically, of all that is to be learned, which is the business of being a student, what is to be learned, what's worthy of being learned, getting a diploma from what they judge as what you need to know to be educated in a university that two of our nice devotees, Nanda Sankirtan and Mahotsaha in particular, are revered alumni of, or getting a certificate from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy as described in Madhya Leela chapter 8. If we actually want a PhD, then we should become approved by Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya, which is knowledge of pure devotional service. And that's Vidyavadu Jivanam. This Sankirtan movement is the life and soul of all transcendental knowledge, and of all that is to be taught and learned from the proper teacher who's qualified to teach it. The culmination of it all is ecstatic chanting and dancing congregationally in the Sankirtan. Prabhupada, speaking on Lord Rishabhadev's teachings to his sons at the end of 1976 in Vrindavan, very powerful and heavy lectures. He's saying that the position, and it's describing how Lord Rishabhadev, he wandered into a forest, I think it was in South India, and the friction of bamboos lit the whole forest on fire and his body burned to ashes. That's how he disappeared from this world. So Prabhupada relates it to how this material world, as we sing Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, is like materially afflicted world is like a blazing forest fire. If there's a huge forest fire, no man-made agency can extinguish the fire. Not possible. It's too big. But when a cloud, a big monsoon, falls from the sky, then the fire can be extinguished, not otherwise. So the materially afflicted world of samsara
repeated birth, death, disease, and old age is likened to being cast into the middle of a blazing forest fire. Your death is assured. So the pure devotee, he's likened unto a very potent cloud that can evaporate the ocean water. That's what Krishna's arrangement is so nice. The oceans are actually facilitating fresh rainfall that comes down everywhere else, so we can have drinking water and we can grow crops. And the salty water ocean, the salt preserves the water nicely. So the cloud that can assimilate the Paramahamsa, you can pick out the best even from the worst and make it pure and clean. That's how we must, what is it? Tasman Guru Prapadyeta. One must approach the spiritual master with firewood in hand, ready to offer render service, because the spiritual master can purify us. And Krishna doesn't accept us if one is an upstart, thinking that he can go to Krishna directly without going through the spiritual master. So, the spiritual master, Prabhupada is saying there in Vrindavan in December 1976, is not an ordinary person because he has the potency to attract the ocean of Krishna's love and mercy. He fully absorbs it within himself like the cloud, and then he showers that mercy upon the materially afflicted world. I offer my respectful obeisances to such a bona fide spiritual master. So, Prabhupada is very, very pleased when, it was asked, what would please you the most? He said, if you love Krishna, that's there. And everyone has the right of choice and freedom to love Krishna in accord with who they are, whatever position or status of life they're in. Yet, everybody's fighting the common war, all the various armed forces and the civilians, but there's the special ops unit, the Green Berets, or the highest class of the Marines, who are risking more and taking more trouble upon themselves. It is said that great saintly persons almost always accept voluntary suffering for the sake of uplifting the fallen conditioned souls. Such activity constitutes the highest worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who lives in everyone's heart. So, Prabhupada was saying, my spiritual master, Srila Bhakti, he very much liked this brahmachari life. But if you do not think that you can maintain, you can take wife. But my spiritual master liked this the most, because you're able to completely dedicate yourself fully to the mission of the pure devotee, which is meant to satisfy the Supreme Lord in the greatest and most deepest way. And I confirm that there'll never be more servant to me, one more dear to me than he who preaches this message of Bhagavad Gita. So if you can arrange your life that you can do this with all of your body, mind, and words and strength every single day, why not do it? It's the express path back home, back to Godhead. So the brahmachari ashram is meant for everyone. Even Prabhupada created a brahmacharini ashram for young unmarried women. The idea is that everyone should set aside at least some part of their life that they very strictly try to control their mind and senses and desires, and make their determined life's goal to achieve pure devotional service. And then what other ashrams one will graduate and will come to, then that training or positions in life will be there, always there as their bedrock foundation, and will ultimately allow them at a later stage in life to come back to the position of performing austerities and penances and sacrifices, preaching Krishna consciousness as they did in their younger days. But if you can take that training deeply as a young person and make the determined decision that I will just keep going, then Krishna and the spiritual master will help you. And it can be done, most definitely, without any doubt. So we're very, very happy that the hard work of all of us, particular mention goes to Vishnu Chitta Prabhu, who just agonized over ultimately getting us in here for the past year or so, you know, and all of us who've, you know, the book distribution, the Lakshmi collection, the move yesterday, what a Herculean activity, right? And now we just have to settle everything up and arrange everything, but we're in. And we gotta go back to Pitt Street and clean that up, and that Nai Krishna Gopal Champu melted mat on the table. Go in there with a razor blade and the tweezers and scrape that thing off. You know? Get that thing that you get the registration off the windscreen with it, kind of. But try not to scrape the wood and stuff. Because we want to try to get our full security deposit back, if possible. Krishna's, there's a very, very sweet victory within the midst of the eternal war that the eternal campaign. You can see Prabhupada in Los Angeles in 1975 in a very wide-eyed and humble and super enthusiastic Vishnu John Swami. He's like, Prabhupada, you said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he could have spread this movement all over the world, you know, right away. And Prabhupada could have, yes, he could. He is Vaishnava. He's all powerful. He could have done immediately. But his compassion was he left some service for us to do. And in the effort, we become purified. My dear sons, you should not be like ordinary and envious men. Do not strive for material sense gratification, which is available even to dogs and hogs that pass stool. Instead, one should endeavor for spiritual happiness, Brahma Sokhim, by performing a penance as in austerities. Tapo divyam, what is it? And when one achieves that Brahma Sokhim, that is eternal happiness which lasts forever. Sorry, did we designate someone to clean up outside? Someone have every day, preferably in the morning, should go out there and sweep up the garbage. Then I just went out there, was a bag of potato chips, a coffee cup, and some cigarette butts. That's to be cleaned daily.
I'll sign that today. I'll sign
that. So, we are going to commence the beginning of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Oh, look at that. That's
Way
I wish I could have found it. I haven't looked back, but there's Sanatana Goswami's prayers to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I think 6 of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody could pull that up real quick.
Yeah, Gopal's got it right now.
Gopal can do it. But we'll read it. An excerpt from preaching is the essence. We should probably get a lamp also.
Yes.
One of the Kmart is very good and cheap for that type of stuff. You know, like the one that I have, the stand-up lamp that if one goes to the ceiling goes like that. I think it was like $21.
I was trying to get the good one. Yeah, Krishna got this translation.
last time about Gajendra. Oh, this is a very nice quote. If you read the chapter Pradyumna Mishra, instructed by Ramananda Roy, which is Antya-lila chapter 5, which shows how intense and fully aroused love of Krishna in one's original Staibhav, how it might appear in this material world has nothing to do with Varnashram Dharma status. Of course, this is very, very high, and we shouldn't think that I've transcended Varnashram Dharma while I still have, material desires and all types of misconceptions. But Lord Chaitanya wanted to demonstrate that devotional service is completely transcendental to any idea of this material world, and it can appear anywhere. In fact, when we distribute books and we perform our Harinam Seva, we're looking, underneath what we might think is somebody who's wouldn't take Krishna consciousness. We try to find that little opening and go in, before all of the Red Sea comes in and floods everything, the guy's girlfriend, or, the guy's friends or something, or the girl's boyfriend, the other way around. So this quote will further elaborate what we're thinking here. The Krishna consciousness movement is non-different from the pastimes performed by Lord Chaitanya. It is overflooding the entire world with mercy. This is one of my favorite quotes, actually. We think, sometimes people say, Harinam Sankirtan, that was back in Lord Chaitanya's time. It was 500 years ago, Take it out maybe once in a while and anthropologically study it from history, now we have to think of something different. In that same series of lectures in Vrindavan said, the problem with you Westerners, you always want to change. Don't change. Keep things as they are. Of course, adopting things according to time, place, and circumstance is also there. The subsequent devotees of the Lord were very dexterous in this regard to invent different novel ways and means to inject Krishna consciousness into dusk-worn minds of human society and engage in Krishna consciousness. That's there. So, the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are just like an ocean of nectar. Even a drop of that ocean can inundate all the three worlds. To inundate the three worlds with nectar is the purpose of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's what we're. So what are you guys doing? What is this all about? We're here to inundate this planet with nectar.
I definitely say that. In the word nectar.
How this could be possible was exhibited by, and this is the Prayojan Tattva Gyan Acharya, Raghunath Das Goswami, who showed the highest pinnacle of love of Godhead. And you can understand how his activities ultimately culminated. He's known as the Emperor of Sri Radha Kund, or how to worship the divine couple perfectly, properly, in their topmost place. We read in the Nectar of Instruction, superior, to the material world is Vaikuntha, Mathura Puri, within Mathura Puri is Vrindavan, within Vrindavan the sacred forests of Vrindavan. Govardhan is most sacred, and within Govardhan, Sri Radha Kund stands supreme because it is the site of the topmost loving affairs of Sri Radha Shyam Sundar, who then will not reside in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings and worship the divine couple Sri Radha Govinda, who perform their Astakaliya Lila Seva, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. No person of transcendental intelligence would not do this. So, how this world can be flooded with nectar was exhibited by Raghunath Das Goswami. And later by Narottam Das Thakur, who such a personality as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur completely surrendered, expressing himself to be a fool and needing and his life being unable to be maintained unless he got the mercy of Srila Gaura Das Babaji, who from external point of view was born in a Vaishya family, and in his previous existence he had even been a Grihastha briefly, and Krishna arranged that his wife died at an early age, there was no children, and he, the way he kept himself was like, from external point of view, like an unkept avadutta. So, in the very few possessions that he had, he kept copies of Narottam Das Thakur's Prarthana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika, and he said, love of Godhead is not at all difficult to achieve. One needs only 2 annas, whatever that amount of money is worth back in the late 1800s. You're from India, you should know that. Right?
Yeah.
And you go to the marketplace and you purchase Prarthana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika. Of course, one has to read any authorized literature by the blessings, permission, and guidance of the authorized acharya. Otherwise, anybody can go to a shop and buy a book and read it, and how much did they understand? You know? Truly, I reserve the right of not being exposed to everyone and anyone. The whole world does not know, the whole deluded world does not know me, who is the unborn and infallible Lord. So, this Gaura Das Babaji recommended Narottam Das Thakur. So Narottam Das Thakur is the most important, powerful acharya and servant of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. So, Prabhupada is saying how the purpose of flooding the whole world with nectar, how this could be done. And this is ultimately the goal of our Harinam Sankirtan, that we become Shuddha Premika Bhaktas, and we're chanting the pure holy name, which is assumptive of all of Krishna's potencies, of which the Ladini potency of attraction is whatever, then when we say, that's Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's commenting in his Bhajan Rahasya Shastakam, the nectar for which everyone is always anxious. People are looking for that mukta sangha, that liberated association of the Lord's eternal nitya parikars. And we see in the perfectional stage how our acharyas, they're aspiring to achieve ultimate service under the lotus feet of, in particular, Lalita Devi. So, who is for Damodar Goswami, Prabhupada, and Lord Chaitanya says, if one, Lord Chaitanya was cleansing the Gundicha temple, and, good work. There's a long-standing rule that no one could try to wash Lord Chaitanya's feet, touch Lord Chaitanya's feet. So one Bengali Vaishnava, this is different from than later was
Kalida.
Yeah, that you can read in the. Yeah. See, Lord Chaitanya ultimately allowed Kalidas to take 3 drinks when washing his feet in the place by the Garuda Stamba entering the Jagannath temple. He said because he had full faith in Vaishnavas, and he made all attempts to get the remnants of all Vaishnavas, no matter what caste or ashram or status in society that they were, you know. Like householders, women, everybody, and they're chanting Hare Krishna. He's just Right outside, they throw a deep plate and you just come and pick up the remnants. You know?
Wow. That's
So this particular Bengali Vaishnava, he drank the water. Lord Chaitanya became very upset and he turned to Swarup Damodar. Your Bengali Vaishnava has greatly implicated me. The devotee should have his feet washed in front of the deity or in the Lord's temple, and etc. So Prabhupada writes there, by Lord Chaitanya is saying this, he's saying that anyone who aspires to be a devotee of Lord Chaitanya must be under the guidance of Swarup Damodar. We should never think the devious mind that we can never equal or surpass the predecessor acharyas. And Prabhupada in Los Angeles is saying our movement is very simple. We don't have to manufacture anything. We simply repeat what our predecessor has taught. That is all. And he goes down the whole disciplic succession. Krishna, Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, Madhvacharya, Madhavendra Puri, Ishvara Puri, Lord Chaitanya, Swarup Damodar, the six Goswamis, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Jagannath Das Babaji, Gorkishore Das Babaji, our esteemed spiritual master, and we are trying to do the same thing. There is no difference. So this is the secret to success. If we take the order of our spiritual masters, our life, and execute it to our hearts, to our full. It's very interesting the way Prabhupada says that we execute to our full heart's desire, then that is the way of perfection. And Shamananda Goswami was the very great personality. Spending a lot of time, so let's keep it moving. Who all represented the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, that same mercy, I'm ecstatic to hear the names of these devotees and their activities, and so right now, same thing. If you want it, you can access it. That same mercy is overflooding the entire world through the Krishna consciousness movement, the present Krishna consciousness movement. That means this one is not different from the pastimes performed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada said in one place, ISKCON's current activities are a pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and is a branch of the Chaitanya tree. Which is being, if you're a branch on the tree, then you'll be nourished by the Vishwambar, the gardener of the tree. Not different from the pastimes performed when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present. Why? For the same principles are being followed and the same actions performed without fail. So you can say from the other side that the Krishna consciousness movement is the Krishna consciousness movement if the same principles are being followed and the same actions are being performed. So we turn to Sanatana Goswami invoking blessings. O Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all the Vedic scriptures, you are the most prominent transcendental fruit of the Vedas and are enriched with the jewels of all philosophical conclusions. You grant spiritual vision to all people of the world and are the very life breath of the Vaishnava devotees. O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. What is that in the first canto? Those who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. And there's that wonderful picture of, I guess, the devotee had, when he was a kid, had seen Charlton Heston in the Ten Commandments, big, gigantic movie in the 1950s, and like holding up the Ten Commandments. So the Vyasadeva is holding up the Bhagavatam, and light is coming down, and it looks like a New York City scene. Heinous activities, dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. Actually, you are Lord Krishna who has returned amongst us. Now that Lord Krishna has returned to his own abode, please tell us to whom religious principles have gone for shelter. O Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, I offer respectful obeisances unto you. By your recitation, one attains transcendental bliss, because your syllables shower down pure love of God. Prabhupada said every word of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is transcendental and linked to Krishna's pastimes. You are to be served by everyone always, for you are an incarnation of Lord Krishna. O Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, O my only friend, my companion, and my teacher, O my great wealth and deliverer, O my good fortune and bliss, I offer respectful obeisances unto you. So we make Bhagavatam our friend, not video game. Not we. I turned to one person came to look at the table. Some young guy was just. I said, "Oh, you interested in spiritual knowledge?" No, not really. So what are you interested? Oh, usual, boop, video games. What? So we should be more interested in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam than internet. My only friend, companion, and my teacher, great wealth and liberty. O Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, a bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, uplifter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Accompanied by pure love of Krishna, please manifest yourself in my heart and throat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayana Namaskritya Namarojaya Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet
Nastapareshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So, to Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, my spiritual master, on the 26th annual ceremony of his disappearance day, that would have been 1962. He lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. So we should hear Srila Prabhupada's preface. It's not said here, but in other books, it's dated in New Delhi around that same time, early 1960s. We must know the present need of human society. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits in particular countries or communities. However, human society is broader than the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is toward one state or one human society. The ideals of spiritual communism, according to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, of the entire energy of living beings. The need is felt by great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam will fill this need in human society. It begins, therefore, with an aphorism of Vedanta philosophy, Janmani Asyaya Taha, to establish the ideal of a common cause. Human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the fields of material comforts, education, and economic development throughout the entire world, but there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large, and therefore there are large-scale quarrels even over less important issues. There is a need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam will fill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam should be introduced also in the schools and colleges, for it is recommended by the great student devotee Prahlad Maharaj in order to change the demoniac face of society. Let's all say together. Kamara Acharya Prabhu
Dharman Bhagavataniha Durlabham Marsham Janma Tadyapi Durvamartanam.
Bhagavatam 761. Disparity in human society is due to a lack of principles in a godless civilization. There is God, or the Almighty One, from whom everything emanates, by whom everything is maintained, and whom everything is merged to rest. Material science has tried to find the ultimate source of creation very insufficiently, but it is a fact that there is one ultimate source of everything that be. This ultimate source is explained rationally and authoritatively in the beautiful Bhagavatam, or Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So we will leave some for the next. Prabhupada thought it very important to write an introduction In the modern age, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam by practical demonstration. It is easier to penetrate into the topics of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam through the medium of Sri Chaitanya's causeless mercy. Therefore, a short sketch of his life and precepts is inserted herein to help the reader understand the real merit of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It is imperative that one learn the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from the person Bhagavatam. The person Bhagavatam is one whose very life is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in practice. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the absolute personality of God, and he is both Bhagavan and Bhagavatam in person and in sound. Therefore, his process of approaching the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is practical for all people of the world. It was his wish that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam be preached in every nook and corner of the world by those who happen to take their birth in India. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the science of Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, of whom we have preliminary information from the text of Bhagavad Gita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that anyone, regardless of what he is, who is well versed in the science of Krishna, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad Gita, can become an authorized preacher or preceptor in the science of Krishna. There is a need for the science of Krishna in human society for the good of all suffering humanity of the world, and we simply request the leaders of all nations to pick up this science of Krishna for their own good, for the good of society, and for the good of all the world's people. A short sketch of the life and teachings of Lord Chaitanya, the preacher of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We'll simply read the first paragraph, which is very momentous and inspiring to the supreme degree. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great apostle of the love of God and the father of the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord, invented himself at Sri Dham Mayapur, a quarter in the city of Navadvip in Bengal, on the Falguni Purnima evening of the year 1407 Shakabda, corresponding to February 1486 of Christian calendar. More about that. This is the most important verse, and His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisanta Saraswati Thakur, our Srila Prabhupada, would remark, as did all of his godbrothers, the wonder and greatness of Srila Bhaktisanta speaking for 3 months, every day in a row, on this one verse. Just amazing. So we'll say the word for word together and then attempt to read the verse in the translation. Om. Lord. Nama. Offering my obeisance. Bhagavate. Unto the personality of Godhead. Vasudevaya. Unto Vasudevaya.
Lord
Shri Krishna, the primeval Lord.
Janma Adi,
Janma Adi,
creation, sustenance, and destruction.
creation, sustenance, and destruction.
Asya,
Asya,
material universe.
Yata,
Yata, from whom?
from whom?
Anvayat,
Anvayat,
directly.
directly.
Itarata,
Itarata,
indirectly.
indirectly.
Cha,
and
and. Arteshu, purposes. Abhigna,
Abhigna,
fully cognizant.
fully cognizant.
Swarat, fully independent. Tene, imparted. Rama, Vedic knowledge. Rida, consciousness of the heart. Ya, one who. Adhikavaye, unto the original created being. Muyanti, our illusions. Yat, about whom. Suraya, great sages and demigods. Teja, fire. Vari, water. Ridam, earth. Yata, as much as. Vinimaya, action and reaction. Yatra, whereupon. Trisarga, three modes of creation. Creative facilities. Amrisa, almost factual. Damna, along with all transcendental paraphernalia. Svena, self-sufficient. Sada, always. Nirasta, negation by absence. Kuhakam, delusion. Satyam, truth. Param, absolute. Dhimahi, I do meditate upon. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Janmadhyasya yataha. Nanyan itaras charteshu abhignas varat. Tena Brahma Hirdaya Adhikavaye. Muyanti Yatsuraya. Tejo Vari Vidamyata. Vinimayo Yatrati Sargo Misha. Damnasvena Sada Nirasta. Vakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva. I'll say it all through once, and then we can go back and say it together. O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth, the primeval cause of all causes, of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first impregnated the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him. Lord Sri Krishna was eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Vishnu, could you lead this, or I just need a little break to drink some water, just word for word.
O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna, because he is the absolute truth, the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance and destruction.
sustenance and destruction
of the manifested universe.
of the manifested universe.
He is directly and indirectly
He is directly and indirectly
conscious of all manifestations.
conscious of all manifestations.
And he is independent
And he's independent
because there is no other cause beyond him.
because there is no other cause beyond him.
It is he only who
It is he only who
first imparted the Vedic knowledge
first imparted the Vedic knowledge
under the heart of Brahmaji,
unto the heart of Brahmaji,
the original living being.
the original living being.
By him, even the great sages
By him, even the great sages
and demigods are placed into illusion.
and got to place into illusion.
As one is bewildered by the illusory
As one is bewildered by the illusory
representations of water seen in fire,
representations of water, sea, and fire,
or land seen on water.
and sea and water.
Only because of him
The
do the material world, do the material universes
material universes
temporarily manifested
temporarily manifested
by the reactions of the three modes of nature
by the reactions of three modes of nature
appear factual although unreal.
appear factual, although they are unreal.
I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna,
Meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna,
who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode,
who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode,
which is forever free
which is forever free
from the illusory representations of the material world.
from the alleged representations of the material world.
I meditate upon him,
I meditate upon him,
for he is the absolute truth.
for he is the absolute truth.
So we want to usually stop at 8:30, so we've gone overtime because it's our first day and we're very popcornly, popping enthusiastic. So we'll just read the first paragraph only here and then we'll stop. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Vasudeva directly indicate Lord Sri Krishna was the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. This fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of this work. Sri Vyasadeva asserts herein that Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all others are his direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of the portion. Srila Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained the subject matter in his Krishna Sandarbha. And Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject of Sri Krishna substantially in his treatise called Brahma Samhita. In the Samaveda Upanishad, it is also stated that Lord Sri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. Therefore, in this prayer, the first proposition holds that Lord Sri Krishna is the primeval Lord, and if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means the all-attractive. In the beginning, someone said, Prabhupada, Krishna, we should call it International Society for God Consciousness. And everything, in general. Prabhupada debunked and dismissed that. No, it has to be very specific Krishna. The first proposition holds that Lord Sri Krishna is the primeval Lord, and if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means the all-attractive. In Bhagavad Gita, in many places, the Lord asserts himself to be the original personality of Godhead, and this is confirmed by Arjuna and also by great sages like Narada, Vyasa, and many others. In the Padma Purana, it is also stated that out of the innumerable names of the Lord, the name of Krishna is the principal one. Ete Chamsa Kalapumsam Krishnas tu Bhagavan Svayam. That's the best of it.
Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Nikayanti.
So we should always remember that Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the ultimate, absolute, conclusive truth. And Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarna Karna is the cause of all causes. There's no other cause beyond him. So anything that doesn't agree or match up to that is just simply illusory mental speculation. Narottam Das Thakur says, the numberless different conceptions and philosophies of life are all symptomatic of the conditioned soul's false pride. Trying to understand them brings no real benefit, but as Morris the chess player said, it gives me a pain, a headache, you know. I think Jayesh, you don't know, there's 5 years ago at the beginning of the season, one guy was wheeling on an upright piano into our spot, and he just had like a 35-minute repeating spool of sleazy, cheesy barroom kind of piano songs, you know. And you know, we'd had to try to race there to get there, but he was really determined. He had some goons come out there with a piano at like 6 o'clock in the morning and stuff. And, you know, be there all day and all night. And this is chess player named Morris. He did it for recreation. He didn't have to be there. He was like 6'3", 5 inches tall, big, strong guy. Like, you know, like the body of Lord Shringadeva in the face of a black man. He said, he comes to us one day, seeing the struggle. He goes, you know what? I'm going to help you guys out because I think this is wrong, you know. He says, I like you guys, you know. So just watch, just stand back, step back some, we might hit your fingers, you know. So he goes to the guy, excuse me, you know, but me and you need to have a conversation. He goes, come on, man, Superfly, what's the problem? They're spreading peace and love, I'm spreading peace and love. There ain't no difference. So we tell him, okay, you know, I want to let you know that this is America and everybody's entitled to their opinion, freedom of speech, okay? So I don't want to take that from you. That's your God-given right, okay? You could say like that, you know, but at the same time, I would respect some common decency from you that you would respect me also as an American with a right to his own opinion and freedom to say what he says, okay? Now, when they chant that Hare Krishna, you know, I become very peaceful in my mind. I've had a lot of trouble over the years with anger management. I've even had to take court-mandated courses on the subject. So when they chant that Hare Krishna, I feel my anger go away. My mind becomes very peaceful. And practically what happens is more people come in the park. There's a nicer mood. More people sit down to play chess. I play a better game. I make more money. Now when you play that piano over here, what happens is them thoughts of anger come out. And it's all I can do to control myself. Less people come in the park. Less people sit down to play the game. I don't play as good a game. I don't win as much. I don't make as much money. So you see there's a difference. You know, when they chant that Hare Krishna, my mind becomes peaceful. But when you play that piano, I get a very bad headache. So I want, henceforward, between me and you, brother, to be a very clear understanding. Just like you look up in the sky on a beautiful day, you know, when you see the blue sky and you see the sun, I want that kind of understanding between me and you. Because later, if there has to become a cloud or a fog in that understanding, brother, you should know that a big storm is going to be coming. And you don't even want that. I know me 12 very loyal, heavy brothers in Newark, New Jersey. All I got to do is make the phone call. And brother, you don't even want to think about opening that door. So, all right, me and you, that we understand each other. This is your last day in this spot. This is an established spot. You don't come into an established spot without first checking with the people already thus established. That ain't cool. Whereas my mother, bless her soul, she's gone back to heaven, taught me when I was a kid. That's just plain bad manners. So, clear understanding. And that story of Morris shows that, you know, by chanting Hare Krishna, that the Divine Ashram Dharma will automatically manifest. I did it for you guys, because I like you. Free of charge. You don't even have to pay me, you know. And he would help us out. He's not there so much now these days because, so he doesn't have to sit in the park and play chess, But he would help us out with other problem situations, The Lord asserts himself to be the original personality of God, and this is confirmed by Arjuna and also by great sages like Narada, Vyasa, and many others. The Bhagavatam Puran is also stated, Lord Sri Krishna is the principal one. Vasudeva indicates the plenary portion of the personality of Godhead, and all the different forms of the Lord being identical with Vasudeva are indicated in this text. The name Vasudeva particularly indicates the divine son of Vasudeva, Devaki. Sri Krishna is always meditated upon by the Paramahamsas, or the perfected ones among those in the renounced order of life.
Hare Krishna.
Should we end it, or should anyone want to ask questions?
We were saying when we were reading from Preaching is the Essence that we need to be followers of Swarup Damodar, but most of the time you in your classes you tell that you be Rupa Nuga is a follower of Rupa Goswami. So can you
Can somebody else answer that question?
I want a clear understanding.
My wrist is tired from hitting the badminton over the net. That's a real kind of. Somebody else want to? You got Vishnu. You can do it better. You can do it just as good, if not better than I can. Go ahead, answer the question.
So Damodar blessed Rupa Goswami.
So for followers of Sri Sanskrit Sutta, if you're actually Mother Sudamini, she's the wife of Ravindra Swarup. She very much was had a life-changing experience hearing Prabhupada speak at the Mayapur Festival in 1975 that the ultimate goal is to worship Sri Radha and Krishna, and don't even think you can worship Radha and Krishna unless you go through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And you shouldn't even think that you can get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya unless you get the mercy of the predecessor acharyas. And you can't even think to get the mercy of the predecessor acharyas unless you get the mercy of your direct initiating spiritual master. Wow. So if you're doing, and in the second canto, one should not think oneself as qualified as Lord Brahma to be initiated by Krishna directly. If one actually wants the direct mercy of Krishna, one should approach the current link in the Sampradaya. And Prabhupada says one who is a follower of the six Goswamis, he's even more advanced than. The more that you're the servant to the servant to the servant, then more you're the direct servant. That's the transcendental mystery of Bhakti cult. So if you're a follower of the six Goswamis, don't you think that you're going to be a follower of Swarup Damodar?
Yeah. Thank you for the clear understanding.
Okay, anything else? Anybody have any thoughts, realizations, or expressions of happiness? Or maybe we can even just say any practical kind of pointer outers here about the house and what we got, things we need to do, or also it's Sunday and getting to the church on time. I would recommend everybody be out the door no later than 12:30.